All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Bajra Samaja, Bajra Samaja, Bajra Samaja. Protectors of all sentient beings without exception, deities who vanquish the ruthless hordes of Maras, knowers of everything as it is, Bhagavans and your retinues, please come here. Agyam Padyam Pushpe Dube Aloke Gende Nevide Shabda Pratija Swaha. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon. I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure realm. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete body. So this cultivating of the four immeasurable minds at the bottom of page 6. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness, that is loving kindness, Maitri. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering, and that is Karuna, compassion. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. This is joy. And may they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. And so when we cultivate these four immeasurable minds, all four of them, so the often you see, like loving kindness and karuna more highlighted than the other two. That is, I think, fair to say. And so even in the cultivating bodhicitta, it's loving kindness and compassion and that are emphasized that you need to cultivate these two and then let these two be the driving forces to our wanting to become Buddha. Wanting to become Buddha, therefore, for the sake of others. These are called in the Mahayana tradition the four immeasurable minds. In the non-Mahayana tradition, in the Hinayana tradition, and so here again, let's clarify, Hinayana and Mahayana, they are not terms used to refer to other groups of Buddhists, like Buddhists in this part of the world or that part of the world, and this culture or that culture. Hinayana, Mahayana, in our Tibetan Buddhist texts, when they are used to refer to various levels of practitioners. So you could even be practicing Tibetan Buddhism, Himalayan Buddhism, but essentially you are mostly working on the level of Hinayana. So what that means is, you're mostly working on the level of taking good care of yourself. Taking good care of yourself. And that's very good. If you don't know how to take good care of yourself, any talk of taking care of others, that's just a distraction. You're just kidding yourself. But having developed understanding, having savored, having tasted some of the results of how to really take care of yourself, you begin to understand that to be only focused on yourself is not is not even going to work out in the long run. Because after all, self and other, that divide between self and other, that feeling. So no need to go to the metaphysical level, Is self and other actually just one? Those are speculations that maybe later Buddhists got involved in. Uh, Why? Because there were non-Buddhists in India, like various types of Hindus, uh, kind of did challenge Buddhists and say, when you say there's the separation of self and other, so do you mean that on the metaphysical level, on the ontological level, you are saying that they are one or they are different and they are maybe one, maybe different? And so Buddhists did have to get into those debates uh, in order to respond to these questions raised. But that is really no need for us. For us, as Kusalis. So Gilbert Rinpoche said there are two types of practitioners of Buddha Dharma. There are the Pandita way, there are those who follow the way of Panditas, and there are those who follow the way of Kusali. He says the Pandita way is to master all, fields of knowledge, especially the ins and outs of Dharma, especially all the reasonings that is necessary. He says that is the Pandita way. He says, but here, he says, mostly in our Kagyu tradition, he said very explicitly in this teaching called the Immaculate or the Stainless Nectar, Stainless Elixir. He says, in our Kagyu way, we mostly follow the Kusali way. So the Kusali way is, quote unquote, the beggar way. Then he says, if you look at his description of the Kusali way, the beggar way, then that way don't need to know so many things. And elsewhere in another teaching, Gilbert Rinpoche beautifully, he says, in our tradition, we say less, practice more. We say less, practice more. And then, of course, practice, what does he mean, These days, when we say practice, we think, sit down and chant, 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 chant. Practice means changing mind. Khenchen Rinpoche, Khenchen Kwancho Gyaltsen always say, people just chant, 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 Monastery is busy, this puja, that puja, this puja, that puja. Rinpoche said, and then they organize, uh, we chant for 10 days, Om Mani Padme Hum for world peace. Then he said, meanwhile, in the monastery, they are fighting each other. Then he said, no, not possible, to achieve world peace, chanting for a week or Om Mani Padme Hum. When in the context of organizing the money retreat, you are busy fighting with each other. Right? This is just simple Buddha's basic teaching on causality. So practice doesn't mean, yeah, oh, let's chant, you know. Maybe, when you're chanting, at least you don't have time to fight. Maybe that's good. But the point of chanting, the point of doing all these recitations is so that we change our minds, we change our hearts. So practice. And Kilwaran Bhaja said, in our style, we talk less, we practice. And by talking less, he says, we don't engage so much in all these debates. So, big footnote, coming back, Hinayana, Mahayana. In the Hinayana tradition, these four immeasurables, they are most usually called the four divine dwellings, the four Brahma dwellings. Because Buddha taught that if you cultivate these four immeasurable minds, then at the end of this lifetime, you can be reborn in these realms of existence that are higher than the ordinary God realm of the world of the senses. And so there is 6 levels of the ordinary God realms, which is part of the realm of the world of the senses, right? I'm sure you've heard this before. Kama Loka, the world of the senses. All of samsara is divided, sometimes divided into just 6 realms, what we call the 6 lokas. But sometimes the Buddha also speaks of it as the 3 lokas, the 3 worlds. And there it's talking about the world of the senses, then the world of form, and the formless world. So cultivating the 4 divine dwellings can lead to rebirth in the world of forms, rupa loka. And here, in Sanskrit, they are called the Brahma world, the world of the Brahmas. And Brahmas, in the Buddhist understanding, refers to a class of beings. There is great Brahma, who is Lord of the Brahma Loka, just like, so Indra is called the Lord of the ordinary gods of the realm of the senses. Brahma is said to be the Lord of the Rupa Loka, the world of forms. There, within that, there are actually 16 levels. The first 4 levels, then next 4, next 4, next 4, 16. Mahabrahma, the great Brahma, the Lord of this realm, is at the height of these 16. And then there are the Brahma ministers, then there are the Brahma retinues, all 16. By cultivating these 4 divine dwellings, depending on how deep you have stabilized these 4 divine dwellings, you can be born in the realm of the Brahmas. Here, when we do this chant here, when we cultivate this, we call them the 4 immeasurables, rather than the 4 divine dwellings. And of course, the 4 immeasurables is based on the 4 divine dwellings. They are the 4 divine dwellings, or Brahma Viharas. When we cultivate these 4 without the blessings, without the power of bodhicitta. When we cultivate these 4 emotions, these 4 qualities, embraced by, blessed by bodhicitta, they become the 4 immeasurables. And then finally, in the Gongchik, single intention, Kyopa Jigten says, has one Vajra statement. And it says that these 4 immeasurables are the very stuff, you could say that. They are the very essence of Buddhas. They're the very essence of being Buddhas, actually. But if you cultivate these 4 without the embrace of bodhicitta, without the blessings of bodhicitta, without, in other words, the container of bodhicitta, without the motivation of bodhicitta, then they can lead to the Brahma Lokas, the divine, and the world of forms. So, the example given for the first one, loving kindness, it says, it's the feeling that you have when you see a child or a little one playing happily. Then that, that warmth of heart that warmth of heart that arises, that happiness, uh, that is, you first savor that yourself and know, so that is Maitri. Then in detailed instructions on Maitri, then it says, you bring the object that for you represents kindness. You bring an object, you bring a person that can most easily trigger your gratitude towards them, in other words. That's like the object. But the feeling you gain from the experience of seeing little ones play. Yeah, there's slight difference, okay, between these two. One is about the object that you bring to increase it. First is about how to identify what is that emotion. So there could be a difference, uh, between. Sometimes the object of kindness may not give rise to that kind of warmth. That kind of warmth, that kind of what is defined as happiness. Gilbert say, look at the little ones. And also some further kind of thought, experiment. It says, or imagine how a mother feels when she sees how a father feels when they see their child playing. And they want to be there with them as well. So there's this sense of attachment a little bit, yeah, that you want to be with them, but you want to be with them in to protect that happiness that they are feeling. So that. So in terms of like identifying what the feeling is, so the first one is Gilbert Rinpoche said like a child seeing a child play happily. The second one he gives the example of seeing someone suffering from a terrible disease. So he himself, suffered from leprosy. In his time, I think that's the equivalent of like our whatever gamut of terrible diseases that we think of today, cancer, AIDS and COVID when it was really bad. So whatever, when you see someone suffering from a terrible disease, that is the feeling, he says. And what is it? It's you see that pain, and even without knowing who this person is, you may or may not know who they are, and all of that. Immediately, you don't want them to suffer. Right? Immediately, you don't want them to suffer. You say, I cannot bear to see this. This child could also be a child should not have to suffer like this. How soon can I pull them out of this? That's the second. Yeah. Then for joy, it says, when a child, I don't know what you call them, when a child camel is reunited with a mother camel, it says that, it's such joy. In other examples I've seen, also the example of like unexpectedly meeting a long lost, a friend that you have not seen for a long, long time. Back in the day where there's no social media, you have no idea, they're dead, they're alive. What are they doing? They're doing well, they're not doing well. They have become an influencer, or, nobody knows who they are. Back in the day, before all of that, to to accidentally chance upon, a good friend that you have not seen for a long, long time. Immediately, that feeling, that is joy. And then they say, equanimity. What is equanimity? Equanimity is, Gilbert, this is Gilbert, the long lost friend and the camel. I don't remember if it is Gilbert, but Gilbert said equanimity is like uh, right as you are about to fall asleep, your kind of unbiased mind towards all. It says that is what we're talking about with equanimity, where you do not label people into camps of I like, I don't like, my friends, my enemies. That's equanimity. So again, when we practice this, embraced by the immeasurable, the bodhicitta, then they go from the Hinayana style of cultivating these. So you see here, it is not accurate to say those who practice Hinayana don't have love, don't have compassion. No. Gilbert Rinpoche said, Buddha said, even in the animal realm, they have capacity to cultivate this. So much less, Dharma practitioners who are practicing at the Hinayana level. So even animals have capacity to give rise to any of these four. And that, we say, is the evidence that, in fact, these qualities are innate to the minds of sentient beings. That given the right conditions, they manifest. Then in a teaching compiled by Kyoba Rinpoche's, Kyoba Rinpoche had many, well-known disciples. There were two who are known as kind of like his two chief like attendants, like most likely to stand left and right of to him. They're sometimes called the sun and moon, heart disciples. One is Drigong Lingpa Sherab Jungne. Drigong Lingpa Sherab Jungne is a nephew, son of one of Kyoba Rinpoche's uncles, Drigong Lingpa Sherab Jungne. Drigong Lingpa Sherab Jungne is the one who compiled most of the teachings that we have of Jigten Sumgön today. Chief of those are the Gongchik. So the Vajra statements in Gongchik is Drigong Lingpa Sherab Jungne, who compiled and many other teachings of Kyoba Rinpoche. Sherab Jungne, Chenga Sherab Jungne, also known as Drigong Lingpa. So Chenga Sherab Jungne was the one who compiled. Another disciple is Chenga Drakpa Jungne. Chenga Drakpa Jungne. Whereas Chenga Drigong Lingpa, Chenga Sherab Jungne, or Drigong Lingpa, was more of a practitioner preferring solitary practice away from people. Chenga Drakpa Jungne was a very different type. He was good at being around people. Of course, he also did a lot of solitary retreat, but he could He's quite very at ease, dealing with people. In fact, it's said that on many occasions he protected the Dragung community from being attacked by Mongols. Mongols were active in Tibet during this time. It's due to the efforts of Chenga Drapajumne. It's said that Chenga Drapajumne also has the ability to manifest miraculous powers to intimidate these Mongol invaders. And also good with diplomacy and good with like leading communities. So much so that Gilbert Rinpoche, sent Chenga Drapajumne to go revive his teacher's community, Densatil. Gilbert Rinpoche's teacher, Drogon Pangmodrupa, his community fell apart very soon after he passed away. It was a major source of difficulties for Gilbert Jigten his teacher's community that fell apart. But later he sent Dragpa Jungne to go revive the community, and Dragpa Jungne made it really strong. So anyway, Dragpa Jungne has one text called the Vajra Mind, and in Dragpa Jungne's Vajra Mind, he records Kyoba Rinpoche saying the following. By mastering the vital point of loving kindness, by mastering the vital point of loving kindness, in other words, when you are able to develop loving kindness to a crucial, to a important point, then you are able to accomplish the activity of magnetizing. So here Khyentse Rinpoche links the four immeasurables with the four Buddha activities. Four Buddha activities is, in the secret mantra, it says that Buddhas act on behalf of sentient beings, Buddhas benefit sentient beings by acting in any of these four styles, these four manners. So it's usually listed as pacifying, calming, soothing. That's what pacifying means. Calming, soothing. Next, by increasing. So the first one is calming, soothing, pacifying pain, suffering, afflictive emotions, cooling things down. Second activity is increasing. This is to increase understanding, to increase merit, in other words, to nurture, right? To nurture, to help grow, to support. And third is magnetizing, what we call magnetizing, or also called overpowering. The first two are what we would recognize as, oh yes, that seems to be how Buddhas behave. It's a very pacific way, very calming, very soft, right? The pacifying and increasing. The next two is it's magnetizing or overpowering, to overwhelm, then to control, then to pull in, to captivate. All of that is under this activity called Wangpo. Literally, Wangpo is power, but it's the power to attract, the power to influence, the power to attract, the power to influence, and the power to control. Then finally, the fourth one is called wrathful, or sometimes called destroy. So then this is the powerfully destroying our kleshas, our afflictive emotions. So these are the four Buddha activities. Here, Gilbert Rinpoche will link the four immeasurables with these four activities, and also identify the deities and the mantras. And so when we invite the wisdom beings in Idam, right, there is the four syllables of Za, Hong, Bam, Ho. And in Jigong, generally, the way we do the mudras of Ja, Hong, Bam, Ho is Ja, Hong, Bam, Ho. The last one, people go Ja, Hong, Ham, Ho. Some other lineages, Ja, Hong, Bam, and somehow Ho is like this, I think. And never mind. What we do is generally Ja, Hong, Bam, Ho. So Ja, Hong, Bam, Ho, if in the context of visualization, with Ja we say is the hook. So a dakini manifests, or many dakinis manifest, but they all have a hook in their hand. That's the hook. Then, and it's said to be the hook of loving kindness. And then, Hong is the lasso, that which you and pull in. That's the lasso of compassion. So dakini is holding lassos, like cowboys, to and pull in a straying calf, cow. Bum is the dakini holding chains, using the chain to chain together the samaya sattva and the jnana sattva. So now chain together, two. Then Ho is the dakini holding bell. Dakini holding bell. But this is a magical bell. Then, of course, bell, kanta, we know, is also a symbol of wisdom, right? Bell and dorje. So it's said that when the dakinis ring the bell, these two melt into each other. So understanding the emptiness of separation, understanding the emptiness of inherent existence, the samaya being, and the primordial, the jnana sattvas, the wisdom beings, and the knowledge beings merge inseparably. So that's the Ja Hong Bam Ho, with the four dakinis. So here, Gilbert Rinpoche links, and it's not just him, it's in the Tantras, but this is how he phrases it. He says, by mastering the vital point of loving kindness, what activity is accomplished? Magnetizing, overpowering, controlling, attracting. So this is really important. Mm. Some of us mistakenly think, this this magnetizing activity, this attracting, this influencing, this controlling, is through some kind of, magic. Gilbert Rinpoche say the magic here is loving kindness. Maitri is what will attract. Maitri is what will allow you to control the conditions. Maitri is what will attract the favorable conditions that we need. Don't try to attract through deception. Don't try to attract through deception would be like, makeup. It's a type of deception, you know. Yeah. Most actors, right? When they don't have the makeup, when they're not appearing on picture, you may not recognize them on the street, more and more, So we think we can magnetize people, if we use the right toothpaste. And then all the way to, we can magnetize people if we go to Korea, and improve your eyes, your nose, your lips. There are tour packages, the 10-day, and come back a new person, right? No, the real way to magnetize, to have influence over others is through Maitri. So then he says, the deity is Ankushi. This is the one holding the hook, Ankushi. Ankushi, and the mantra is Ja. So when you say Ja, you need to know it's loving kindness. And through loving kindness, all favorable conditions can be magnetized. All unfavorable conditions can be held in control so that they don't come and interrupt. And that is all accomplished through Maitri. By mastering the vital point of compassion, the wrathful, exalted activity is accomplished. So the fourth activity, the destruction, the wrathful. So the wrathful and the destruction is not, it's not some kind of, sometimes people think, oh, Vajra of wrath, means, now I'm practicing wrathful deity, The more you practice the wrathful deity, the deeper the suffering that you are creating, But no, how you accomplish this activity of destroying forcefully, powerfully, effectively destroying the kleshas is through compassion. If you try to destroy, much less enemies, even if you try to destroy the kleshas that you have with aversion, with anger, the psychology of kleshas is they become stronger. No? That's just how it works, right? We know from experience. Or Buddhist talk, it is established through experience. We know from experience. But if we cultivate compassion, meaning saying, I understand why you behave like this, but it's so pitiable. This is so sad. This is so pitiable. That the very suffering that you don't want, now you can be talking to yourself, or talking to others. The very suffering that you don't want is the very action that you are creating now. And I want you to be free from this. So, when we have mastered the vital point of compassion, the wrathful, exalted activity is accomplished. The deity is Shrinkala, and the mantra is Hong. This is the Dakini holding the lasso, and the syllable Hong. Ja, Hong. By mastering the vital point of joy, the increasing exalted activity is accomplished. Increasing exalted activity is accomplished. So, to increase, right? Normally we think, to increase, I have to hoard. Hoarding. Everything. Right? Everything you want. And then you're also afraid other people will take. But the way to increase is through joy. When we're lacking, it's true. This is why samsara is so messy. When we are lacking, our instinct is to try to grab more. Then also when we're lacking, we have no joy, right? But the way to accomplish increase is to be joyful. Only this delightful mind, you can say joyful is like delight. Only this joyful, delightful mind, heart will attract, will cause your merit to increase, will cause your lifespan to increase, will cause your, everything that is positive to increase, will increase on the basis of developing, cultivating, bringing joy to its highest point. So by mastering the vital point of joy, the increasing exalted activity is accomplished, and the deity is Pashi, and the mantra is Bam. Ja, Bam. So chain yourself with the chains of joy. Then, by mastering the vital point of equanimity, the pacifying exalted activity is accomplished. So this is again very insightful, very helpful. How can you calm suffering? How can you soothe suffering? How can you bring suffering to ease your suffering, other people's suffering? Nothing better than equanimity. And of course, the way samsara works is every time we have suffering, the first thing that goes out the window is equanimity. That's the first thing that goes out the window. Flies even faster than an arrow. Because immediately, right, the equanimity is lost because immediately it's like, why me? Right? Whether you use those words or not, immediately is why me? Yeah, you don't necessarily think it should be someone else, but definitely you think, why me? Poor me. Oh, and then we get caught in that cycle. Oh, instead of solving the problem of suffering, suffering festers because we have lost equanimity. So if we can gain equanimity, if we can apply equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion, meaning whatever comes, comes, whatever goes, goes. Don't move. Don't be moved so easily. Slightest movement, we are like, oh. Tao Te Ching talks about, just the slightest movement, heaven and earth has separated. The skies are formed and the earth, the great earth, has come into existence. Tao Te Ching speaks of a time where the earth and the sky is one. But the moment the slightest movement occurs, now heaven and earth, sky up there, heaven. Heaven doesn't mean where God lives, but heaven, better word maybe sky. Sky and earth, 天地, has already separated. In Buddhist terms, dualistic mind has set in. Once dualistic mind has set in, then suffering unfolds accordingly. So by mastering the vital point of equanimity, by mastering that, then we have the power to pacify suffering. The deity is Ganta, literally bell, and the mantra is Ho. So next time, Za, Om, Bam, Ho encodes the four immeasurable minds, encodes the four exalted activities. Vajrayana is a very rich tradition, sometimes overwhelmingly rich, sometimes overwhelmingly rich. But slowly, without being neurotic about it, slowly, if you season your mind, your heart with all these details that you can understand, just think of it as just let it season, like you're seasoning your food, let it absorb. They say some foods, like curries, they taste better 2 days later. After cooking, you have to set them aside. You let the oils, you let the flavors kind of merge better, come out, then it tastes better. Same way, you cannot force. Then over time, you will build, and you will build, and you will build this understanding. So this is one important point to understand. Real hand or intentional hand? Yes, please, go ahead.
Going back to the Hinayana stage of the four immeasurables, it seems to me that bodhicitta is sort of baked into the words. I mean, they're talking about all sentient beings wanting to be free of suffering. How is that different from the bodhicitta?
No, I will achieve Buddhahood.
Got it. Thank
That's
you.
the most important point I keep trying to say to people. I am going to achieve Buddhahood.
Well, doesn't somebody who is practicing only on that level want to achieve Buddhahood, and don't they think they will?
Not for the sake of others, then no, Hinayana, you don't achieve Buddhahood. You strive for what's considered the quickest way out.
So they don't even think they're going to be Buddha.
No, that's the definition of Hinayana.
Okay.
So often, again and again, I don't know how many times I've said, people have misused this word bodhicitta as a word for compassion. Oh, look, they are compassionate. That's bodhicitta. No, it's not bodhicitta until it involves. And I will become Buddha no matter how hard it takes, no matter how long it takes, because only from the state of Buddha, right, will I have the best chances, ability to lead others to the same state of Buddha. Yes.
When I am reciting the four immeasurables, what is the most skillful thing I can do with the recitation?
You have to develop each of them, slowly, slowly, slowly. No magic. What is most skillful, you have to discover from your own practice, and that changes. There's no hacks. Don't look for hacks. How to hack the mind, how to hack the system. Mm. And so, our Mahamudra manual, just briefly recollecting Kyoba Rinpoche's words on the fivefold and what are the fivefolds, using those words as a way to help us quickly bring to mind, and therefore by bringing to mind is a form of cultivating. And so on page 14, famously Kyoba Rinpoche said, if the steed of loving kindness and compassion does not run for the benefit of others, then it will not be rewarded by the gods and humans. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this foundational attitude. So again, by cultivating unbiased, immeasurable loving kindness. You see, again here, unbiased, immeasurable is not yet Bodhi. It just means that. There is not yet this understanding of what is the real problem with samsara. Right? You can wish, I want all beings to be free from suffering. I don't want them to suffer, but have no, not yet, how all this happens. Yeah, of course, we're not saying, Hinayana has no bodhi, no understanding at all. There is, but not to the extent of Buddhas. Actually, Kyoba Rinpoche said, and this statement in one of his Vajra statements, a little controversial. He says, even Hinayana has bodhicitta, but not to the extent. So it's a matter of clarity and extent. So here, right, we need the steed of loving kindness and compassion to run for the benefit of others. So then the next is this bodhicitta now takes on an appearance, now training with the first part of the creation stage. On page 25, it says, if with one's body the king of deities exalted forms, The stronghold of the unchanging ground is not seized. The retinue of Dakinis will not assemble. Right? Here it basically means the blessings will not assemble. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this body, to this form, as idam. So instantaneously, let your bodhicitta appear as co-emergent Heruka and Varahi. How strong, how clear this appearance of Heruka and Varahi will depend on how strong, how stable bodhicitta is. Superficially, even if you can get your visualization to be very clear, some of us are much more visually oriented than others, and therefore can, more easily produce this mental image and stay with it. But that's in a way superficial. The more important one is, as we develop bodhicitta stronger and stronger, more and more stable, then the true clarity of idam, the true confidence of idam, and the true understanding of idam will become stronger and stronger. So in terms of idam practice, it's mentioned that there are three aspects: cultivate clarity, remember purity, and stabilize divine pride. Stabilize divine pride. So these are the three elements. Cultivate clarity in terms of the appearance as Heruka and Varahi, co-emergent Jakasamvara. Remember purity. Understand that this form is an expression of qualities, Buddha qualities. Then strengthen, stabilize divine pride. That I am deity appearing for others. Then the third element on page 33, Kyuba Rinpoche, our precious Lord, said, if on the Guru, the snow mountain of the four kayas, the sun of devotion fails to shine, then the river of blessings will not flow. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this mind of devotion. On page 33. So this is the second part of the creation stage. First part of creation stage is generating yourself, creating yourself turning up as idam. Hand in hand, in fact, because we are limited by this temporal time, here, there, then later there, this linear time. So we cultivate this as step one, step two. But in fact, step one and step two should be understood as always together. Likewise, we say creation stage, completion stage. Yes, when we are practicing, there is this first and then that, but we should understand that in essence, they are always to be held together. The clearer, the stronger bodhicitta, the stronger you can authentically present yourself, self-presencing as co-emergent Chakasamvara. And then the stronger this, how strong this is again, tied to how strong devotion to the Guru. So they're all linked. The next part, it says, if devotion to Guru doesn't go to the level of Dharmakaya, then nature of mind cannot be recognized, which is the fourth part of this. Yeah. So they're all linked. So here, attend earnestly, therefore, to this mind of devotion. And this has 3 parts in our manual. In later manuals, there are 4 parts. Here, 3 parts: accomplishing the Guru as Nirmanakaya, accomplishing the Guru as Sambhogakaya, and accomplishing the Guru as Dharmakaya. First, above the crown of your head, and yourself visualize as the Idam, yourself present, presencing as Idam, co-emergent Chakasamvara. Upon the throne, supported by 8 lions, and this is the throne of the Guru in the space in front of you, above. On the throne, supported by 8 lions, on the multicolored lotus and moon disk, sits your own root Guru, Lord of the teachings, meaning Buddha Shakyamuni, Lord of the teachings. His body is the color of refined gold, and he sits in the Vajra posture. His 2 hands are in the gesture of meditative equipoise. So left hand is in the gesture, in the mudra of meditative equipoise, like this. And right is in the earth-touching mudra. The right hand is on the right knee. And his fingers are lightly touching the earth, asking the earth to bear witness to his accomplishment, to his merit. He's wearing the 3 Dharma robes, vermilion, here reddish yellow. It's vermilion, like the color of saffron. Then his Ushnisha, unlike how he's artistically depicted in tankas and statues, here it's said that his Ushnisha is invisible. He is adorned with the major and minor marks of Buddhas and radiates immeasurable light and light rays. Imagine him seated there, surrounded by the root and lineage gurus, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and the hosts of Idam deities. So yourself as co-emergent Chakasambhara, and the space above and in front sits the root guru, Buddha Shakyamuni. Feel yourself to be in the presence of Buddha Shakyamuni. Then the verses for paying homage to Buddha Shakyamuni is on page 83. Page 83. When you were born supreme among humans, you paced out 7 steps on this great earth and declared, I am supreme in this world. Homage to you who was wise even then, possessing a pure body and an excellent supreme form, an ocean of wisdom, a mountain of gold, fame throughout the 3 worlds. Homage to you, supreme protector, with the supreme marks and a face like the stainless moon. Homage to you, golden colored one, free from stains. There is none like you in the 3 worlds. Homage to you, incomparably wise one, supreme among humans, charioteer and tamer of beings, the Tathagata, who severs the all enmeshing fetters, who is senses pacified and utterly pacified, is skillful. Homage to you, who dwelt at Shravasti. Then our text says, also make the outer, inner, and secret offerings. So extracted from a later text, the 17th century, a very influential text that continues to be used to this day, is on page 108. So on page 108, it says, consecrate the offerings. These are the 8 offerings. So when we're consecrating the offerings, then the beginning and the end of the mantra is Ahung. When we're making offerings, usually the word is Praticha Swaha. So first, we bless and consecrate the offerings. Om Vajra Argyam Padyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shapta Ahung. And then we offer with the next mantras. Om Sarva Tata Gata Guru Deva Dakini Saparivara Argyam Padyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nivide Shabda Pratija Soha. Om Guru Bajra Acharya Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Prateja Soha. Then offer the inner offering with Om Guru Bajra Acharya Nirmana Sambhoga Dharmakaya Chaturbhaya Pati Sarva Amrita Om Ahung. Then offer the secret offering. Om Gu Vajracharya Chaturbhaya Patti Anuragaya Vajra Swabhava Almagohang. So there's a mudra here, this offering, the secret offering. Then the suchness offering. Om Guru Bajracharya Chaturbhaya Pati Adya Nupanatvat Om Anya Nudpanatvat Shunyata Gyana Bajra Swabhava Admako Hang. This Chaturbhaya Patti is repeated in the inner offering, secret offering, suchness offering. Chaturbhaya is the four fears: birth, old age, sickness, and death. Patti is like the general, the one in control. Right? So the one who has control over the four fears, who can protect us from these four fears, is the Vajra Acharya, the here, literally, the Vajra master, who is Buddha Shakyamuni. Then it says, we can do the lineage prayer of the Drigunkagyo lineage. It's a long lineage prayer. And then also it says, do the praises to the Guru. And here, let's go to the praises to the Guru today at page 104, just to get an introduction to this practice. 104. You who are a treasury of naturally present, uninterrupted, exalted qualities of the equalness of the exalted body, speech, and mind of all Buddhas of the three times, please purify the ordinary body, speech, and mind of myself and all beings of the three realms, and make us inseparable from the exalted body, speech, and mind of the precious Guru. Namo, you who completely pervade the continuum of all samsara and nirvana of the three times, your exalted body, speech, and mind, O precious Guru, are the equalness of the Dharma Dhatu, naturally present, uninterrupted primordial wisdom. May my body, speech, and mind and that wisdom become indivisible and non-different. Please cause the supreme devotion and realization of the inseparable Dharmakaya to arise at this very instant. Lord, wish fulfilling gem ornament of my crown, beyond word and expression is your victorious mind, endowed with the five superior primordial wisdoms, epitome of love, the one with kindness, precious protector of wandering beings. I supplicate you in the innate state of my mind, bless me in that state of suchness. Grant your blessings for realizing this primordially birthless and completely pristine mind as the Dharmakaya beyond thoughts. Then rest single-mindedly in the state where the Guru's exalted body, speech, and mind have become inseparable from your own body, speech, and mind. In other words, now dissolve the Shakyamuni into yourself. as it is done today, and usually, the Fivefold Mahamudra is done in the context of dedicated intensive retreat, that can go for a year and a half for the 5 parts to be done sequentially. So finish, there's a set number of recitations for bodhicitta, set number of recitations for the idam, then set number of recitation from the Nirmanakaya. The idam is 400,000. The rest is 100,000. And so lots and lots of recitations, as it's done today in that context of strict retreat. And then it can, of course, create the conditions for very powerful experiences that will make an impact on changing behavior, for sure. Then, the way we are able to do, frankly, if you ask me, I wonder, if a lot of recitations in a short session once a day is that, impactful. So I don't know. I leave it to you, hopefully, this is just to plant some seeds of desire, plant some seeds, skillful desire, and hope that, yes, I can go into a focused period of practice, and I can then savor and experience how doing some practices in a more intense way can lead to some intense experience that will have a positive impact on changing behavior. Simple analogy would be, when you're driving, and which is dangerous if you feel sleepy, but I think we have all experienced it. If you drive, times where you kind of maybe doze off even for 1 second, but that experience was so, right, a shock to the system, and then you kind of shock your adrenaline into flowing, and then you're wide awake for the next 4 hours. So in a way, like the intensive retreat can do that. So here, I think try to develop compassion, loving kindness, bodhicitta, cultivate idam, cultivate devotion in a more kind of gradual way, given our circumstance. So throughout the day, you can reflect on these points, try to incorporate to whatever degree, and then slowly, let it occupy us more and more, and pray that, we don't have untimely death. This past weekend, Poa retreat, I talked about what is untimely death. Well, death is always untimely. In one sense, right? But how can it become timely? It can become timely when we're ready to go. Are we ready to go now? No. How can we be ready? If you think I can be ready once I have settled, once I have put in place all the matters of samsara, then you will never be ready. Then death will always be untimely. Death will always be a tragedy. So if we don't want that to happen, if we don't want to die untimely death, if we don't want to be defeated, if We don't want our last act in this life, in this body, to be defeated. Then we have to make plans now. Is your last act out a defeat or a victory? So the Dharma offers us a way to be victorious as this last act, in this lifetime. Then death will not be untimely. Death will be just the right time. Let's do dedication. Page 78. By the virtues collected in the three times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtues, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Changchu Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Na Ge Gyu Che Ge Ba Nyam Ba Be Ba Gong Ne Gong Du Be Wa Shu. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Ta ta.